Is this the end of Soothe 2? Surprise! Waves has shocked the audio world by releasing its own Soothe 2 alternative. And guess what? It's a fraction of the price and it's packed with features. But does it hold up? Watch to find out. But first, please like, subscribe, and share, and consider joining the channel. It really helps support my channel. And use my plugin boutique affiliate link on screen or in the description below to grab this and other crazy deals. Wow, so this was unexpected. Or maybe not. Waves has been making big inroads into the spectral correction market, so this is a logical move from them. I'm not going to waste your time because I'm pretty excited about this. This thing is cheap, and you can buy it right now for only $39. No subscription needed. Okay, let's take a look. Let's insert Curves Equator on the guitar bus. God, this name bugs me. I'm just going to call it Equator from now on. And the first thing to know is that Curves Equator starts processing immediately. You don't need to hunt for resonances, it detects issues right away. And you can see that in the reduction animation at the top of the FFT analyzer up here. This is very similar to Soothe 2 and other plugins. And we can see it's reacting mostly to the mid-range, which is good. I want to make corrections in that area. These guitars are quite harsh around 3K. To increase the processing, simply lower this line with this funky main knob. This line acts like the threshold, and processing will increase as you lower it. This is similar to Smooth Operator, so users of Smooth will be familiar with this. And notice how hard I can push this without hearing artifacts. Let's bypass. Yeah, you can hear how the mid-range has come down a lot. It almost sounds like the guitars were recorded through different amps. It's so transparent. You can also adjust the sensitivity of the frequency reduction here. This basically gives the dynamic compression a harder or softer knee, so it reacts more quickly and aggressively at higher settings. I have this set about midway for a more natural sound. I'll set that back to default. We'll talk more about the advanced controls later. This is great already, but what I really want to do is get that nasty narrow 3K harshness out without changing the guitar tones too much. Well, here's another feature we all want in a spectral correction plugin. EQ nodes so we can increase or decrease the processing in specific regions. Just double-click anywhere to create an EQ node. I'm going to set this to 3K because I know from my WA Production D-Res video that the issue is exactly around 3K. And to increase processing, you pull down the node. Hold Control to adjust only the gain, leaving it exactly at 3K. Note, like Smooth Operator, lowering the EQ node increases the processing at that frequency, and raising the node decreases processing. This is the opposite of Soothe 2. There, that sounds good. Let's bypass. You hear that whistling tone disappear? Sounds great. Let's compare it to some others. Here's how I had it set up with D-Res. Okay, here's Equator. D-Res. And here's Phil Spizer's The Smoother. Here's Equator. Yeah, I think Waves sounds more natural. And here's Smooth Operator. And Equator. And here's Soothe 2. Here's Equator. I found I had to tweak Soothe 2 a little longer to get to a place that I liked, experimenting between soft and hard processing, etc. I felt like I could get there much more quickly with Waves. And I think they all sound pretty good, but this is a very simple trick. Let's see what else Curves Equator can do. This is where Curves Equator really starts to move ahead of the pack. Check this out. Curves Equator can learn your incoming signal and conform the curve threshold to a high resolution average of that signal. You just click Learn. And it even tells you exactly what it's doing and what to do. And once you have an average, you can click Apply, or you can check Auto Apply, which is great. I love that. I like it when the machines do the hard part. So now we have a threshold that conforms to our input signal. Why is this important? Because this essentially creates a custom threshold that protects our signal from processing. This is best for when you want to correct just the resonances and problem frequencies, but want to perfectly maintain the sonic imprint of your signal. You just want to leave the good sound intact. Essentially, Equator allows you to use your input signal as its own threshold. This is so cool. It reminds me of the excellent DSM V3 multi-compressor, where you could use the input signal as a threshold to balance the spectral balance. It's the only other plugin I can think of that does this off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So anyway, let's listen to the difference with the captured curve. So I can go ahead and add my 3K. And here it is with full band processing. You can hear that the captured curve sounds exactly like the original, but only has the correction happening in the 3K region. Amazing. Now I hear you thinking, if we only want processing on 3K, then why am I seeing gain reduction in all the bands? Well, it's time for another magic moment from this plugin. Hit the crossover button on the right and boom, you get access to 4 bands of processing. Don't want any processing on the highs and lows? Raise the threshold bar and it's gone. You can also increase processing or move the crossovers to further narrow Equator's effect. This gives you yet another layer of control over how Equator affects the signal. It's brilliant. Now, if that's not enough, we have more tonal controls to work with. Shape takes whatever curve you have, a custom one, or default, and morphs it against Equator's factory references. Pink gives you a brighter shape. Warm will roll off highs and boost the lows for a warmer sound. And flat goes for a more even tone. Use shape if you feel like you have a good sound but feel like you want to tweak some impurities. Good for dialing in quick changes. And speaking of quick changes, tilt works like a tilt EQ and simply shifts the whole tone towards brighter or darker by cutting and boosting the processing. There's darker. And there's brighter. Again, great for quick tweaks to the sound. I think the guitar is a little too bright, so I'm going to roll off some of the highs. There, I love how this sounds. It's really cleaned up now. And you're not limited to using Curves Equator on just harsh material. You can use it to balance any track to help it stand out in the mix better. Let's try it on the bass guitar. I had trouble getting this to sit well. Sometimes it seemed too tubby, and sometimes too thin. And already it's found some mud in the low end. Perfect. Bypass. Yeah, the bass kind of fades back into the mix more. This is great because it's cutting the mud, but the auto gain is also raising the level so the brighter material comes up. Since I've got a lot of grit on this bass, and I think it's competing with the guitar, I'll slam down hard on the processing the highs and mid-highs to give the guitar some room. Yes, I think it sounds way better in this section. Previously I had trouble picking out the individual bass notes in this section. And let's put it on the drums too, because why not? I think it could use a little cleaning up in the lows as well. Okay, so I'm going to learn the curve of the drums. Auto apply. A little less boxy. Ooh, I really like how it lowered that annoying rubbery click sound from the kick drum. I've always hated that tone in the Superior Drummer kick, and I often have to work hard to remove it. This is amazing. Oh, and how could I forget? There are advanced controls, as I mentioned earlier. So you click the Advanced Controls button and you get full control over every aspect of processing. You can change the attack and release to let more or less of the original sound through. Precision lets you control how deep and narrow versus how shallow and wide the filters are. You can see they get finer as I turn it up. This is like sharpness in Soothe 2. Use this to focus in on areas or make the processing more broad. You can change the center point of the tilt EQ. Or you can smooth out the overall curve. This only applies to custom curve thresholds. And my god, you can switch between linked, left and right split, or mid-side processing. Wow. And look at this, you can turn auto makeup on or off. And you have a brick wall limiter just in case. Incredible. So let's listen to the mix with Equator on all three buses here. So that's guitar, drums, and bass. Oh yeah, the guitar harshness is gone and it just sounds smoother with more clarity between instruments. I love it. Yeah, the bass really stands out now. And it's not interfering with the kick drum. And if that weren't enough, time for one last crucial feature. Yes, you can sidechain tracks with Equator, much like Track Spacer, Soothe 2, or any other dynamic spectral correction plugin that allows you to duck a signal with another signal. So you can use Equator to clear up conflicts between kicks and snares, pads and vocals, but even then it's still got its own unique twist. What I can do is sidechain the kick into the baseline instance of Equator. So I turn on the sidechain with the SC button here. Lower the curve a bit. And the kick is already punchier, coming through better now. And take note, we can switch to rider mode, which makes the signal dynamically duck to the input signal. In this case, the kick, which I think is what most of us expect from this kind of trick. Sounds even better with this on. And that's all we have to do. I could use the EQ to restrict the processing to just the low end for a tighter performance, but Equator has another card up its sleeve. So with the Learn feature, you can learn the sidechain input spectra, and Equator will apply a custom inverse curve to the source track for even more separation and clarity. It'll just subtract the frequencies that you need to get a good duck. Check it out. So right now it's learning the kick drum. So there you go. We're now ducking exactly the frequencies that we need to make it sound good. A little too much. Now Equator has shaped the curve thresholds to maximize the processing in the conflicting region. And from here, you can tailor the ducking to perfection by increasing the sensitivity or making it more precise. Astounding. Here's Soothe 2 doing the same thing. The kick is side-chained into the synth bass. And here's Equator. Soothe. Equator. For me, I find Waves Equator to sound a little more natural. Keep in mind, Equator can learn and tailor its response to your incoming signal. Soothe can't do that. And don't forget to use Equator on your full mixes. This mix is still a little muddy overall. To see how easy it is to improve the sound of a mix with Equator, we can even grab one of the logically named presets. Ooh, and this already sounds better. The mid-side processing is even widening the mix a bit. Maybe a tad bright. I can use shape or tilt to roll off some highs. There, a clearer mix in seconds. Amazing. Guys, this plugin has everything. It takes all the best things from other plugins and brings them all together. This is the Voltron of spectral correction plugins, and all this for $39 on sale right now. I declare Soothe 2 dead. Curves Equator does everything Soothe 2 can do and more, and it's better than all the rest. I'm struggling to think of any other harshness corrector that comes close to this level of features and quality. I'm officially recommending this as the resonance suppression and frequency unmasking tool to get. Like, run out and get this right now, especially while it's on sale for $39. Waves has ushered in a new way to think about processing our audio, and I, for one, say bravo. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I love hearing from you. Consider joining the channel to support me, and use my affiliate links to support the channel as well. Until next time, mix well. Okay, this is a big deal. Baby Audio finally updated their flagship Smooth Operator plugin. The new Pro version not only meets the brief of what we wanted from Smooth Operator in the first place, but exceeds it, and it's still easy to use. There's a lot to break down here, so let's get right to it. But first, guys, please help me get to 8,000 subscribers. Please like, hit subscribe, and consider joining my membership or Patreon for benefits. And use my affiliate links on screen or below to buy Smooth Operator Pro and other plugins. For those who don't know Smooth Operator, this plugin came out 3 years ago as a cheap, fast alternative to Soothe 2. In my original review, the biggest problem I had with the plugin was that there was only 2 EQ nodes available, which didn't give the user much flexibility and led to excessive, unnatural processing. Well, those days are gone. Now you can add as many EQ nodes as you like, with full control over each EQ node and its processing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start at the start. Smooth Operator Pro is, at its core, a very simple plugin, and all you need to do is pull down the master threshold, and you'll hear processing on any harsh frequencies. You can see the gain reduction up top. And after this, it's up to us how we'd like to focus that processing. And we're already seeing processing in the mid-range and even below. And you could leave it like this, it's already smoothing out the spectrum. I'm not crazy that there is no automatic gain compensation. It looks like that's a manual process. I'll circle back to this. But it already sounds good just on broad bandwidth settings. Like, that's a dramatic improvement. And here it is on global default settings on every track in this mix. This is very subtle processing, but I think you can hear it already cleans it up a bit. But we can go so much further with all the new controls. Let's check it out. One glance at the panel on the right shows us just how much Smooth Operator's features have been expanded. We've gone from practically no controls whatsoever to multiple controls that are divided into sections. First is the setup section, and in here we have the even and skew correction switch. This changes the profile from a flat, broad spectral correction to the skew profile, which is weighted more towards certain frequencies. So it defaults to skew. I assume this is skewed more towards the low mids and high mids where masking is very common. Try some high settings here. So this is skew. Again, this sounds great. This is very strong settings, but this sounds really good. I'll switch to even. Whoa, big volume jump. Wow, so even really is a more flat response. Skew gives more of a hi-fi response, I would call this. We have a nice scoop in the mids with the bass and the highs sounding quite sheen, so I can see why it defaults to this. This is a much more pleasing weighted formula. That's good to know. If you want a flat response, go for even. I really wish this had automatic gain compensation. That's kind of disappointing. Now here's an important setting. If you want to preserve the low end of your signal and focus the processing on the highs, you can use low preserve to maintain your lows. And you can see there's a graphic here that shows you where processing is not happening. Turn this up. Let's copy this to the B channel. Now I'll remove the low preserve. What a huge difference. So this is much warmer. This would be so important on a master. And conversely, you can affect only the lows with the high preserve. Ugh. I don't know why you want to do it on this mix, but overall, this is a nice, quick way to tilt your processing without having to create a cut filter and dial that in. And lastly, in this section, we have gain makeup right here. So it seems like Smooth Operator does not include auto gain compensation at this point. So if you want to maintain the exact same average loudness, you can see the original input's gain on the faded waveform in the background. and you can raise gain makeup until it matches the brighter attenuated waveform in the front. This basically matches the peaks on these waveforms. It's a nice touch having that graphical reference, but I would much prefer automatic gain compensation, or at least have the option for it. Sounds great though. You can hear the guitars so much better. And this is a ton of processing on a shitty mix. This sounds great. Next, in the global focus section, we have further ways to hone in the processing. This is basically about making the processing narrower or wider to fit your signal. Peak is recommended for material that has more random, plosive elements, whereas RMS is more appropriate for things like pads and signals with a steady response. And detail and isolation allows us to sharpen or widen the processing, similar to sharpness and selectivity in Soothe 2. Increasing detail will tell the smooth operator to use more spectral bands. Whereas isolation narrows the processing, not affecting neighboring frequencies as much. Great for really spiky, nasty frequencies. This focus section can really help you to chase down your issues without harming your mix. Next we have Global Comp, which will be familiar to anyone who's used a compressor, or the advanced controls on Soothe 2, Waves Equator, and others. Basically, the soft or hard knee will kick in the spectral compression more slowly or more quickly, respectively. Soft knee is good for more natural sounding results. Ratio increases the intensity of the gain reduction over the threshold. While increased attack will let more natural transients through, and longer release times will increase the time it takes to return to zero. I find most often the default settings are good on the compression, but I would be pissed off if there was no control over this in a Pro Correction plugin like this, so good job, Baby Audio. And on top of all that, I'll quickly mention you have the requisite stereo processing choices. Like left and right, mid-side, and stereo link unlink. At 100%, left and right are unlinked, and at 0, there's sum to mono, and are treated as the same levels. And in the global monitor section, you get the always welcome wet-dry mix knob. So you can ride the processing hard, and then mix some of the natural signal back in. You get more natural results this way. Plus, you can solo the processing with the remove knob. Oh geez. Baby Audio, guys, you need to get some auto gain compensation in here. That shouldn't be that loud. I bet you they'll fix that in the next 0.1 update. I won't be surprised. Now let's get back to one of Smooth Operator Pro's biggest feature updates. More and better EQ nodes. All you have to do to add an EQ node is double click anywhere. And now you can use this node to increase processing by pulling it down, or decrease it by pulling up. The nodes processing are in addition to whatever processing the global threshold is already doing. Another amazing thing is that each node gets its own array of settings. And here's a really unique feature. Say you want a node to act independently of the global threshold. Hit Override Global, and now this node has its own settings, regardless of the global settings. And this can be turned on for each section: focus, comp, and imaging. I could see myself using override compression a lot to zero in on a specific jumpy frequency. But generally, the overall processing sounds great. It's just wonderful to have this extra detail. Let's quickly see how it stacks up against Soothe 2 and Waves Equator. Wow, I find Smooth Operator got the best sound with the least effort. With Waves, I had to lean more on the multiband controls to get it in that same kind of scooped range. Yeah, I found with Smooth Operator Pro, you could more quickly get the right setting right away. This just smooths out a nasty mix like this. I'm really impressed. With Soothe 2, I had to push it harder, and I start getting spectral artifacts, where I got to lean on the hard settings. It somehow sounds more natural in Smooth Operator. And Waves, I had to push really hard to get anywhere close. It's not necessarily bad or worse, but Smooth Operator Pro will get you results right away. I really like that. Of course, this is a terrible mix and I'm pushing the settings on everything very far, but I still think it's a valid test. This is really where Smooth Operator Pro starts setting itself apart from the herd. It feels like Baby Audio has thought of everything that you need in a plugin like this. And the spectral processing just sounds better than Smooth Operator V1. This is a massive upgrade, and I applaud Baby Audio for this achievement. Not only is this a superior update to a popular plugin, it's one of the best sounding spectral correctors out there, period. This joins Waves Equator and TBT SpecCraft amongst the very elite. And it beats them on interface and controls in many ways. Now, should you buy it? Firstly, I'll say this is a no-brainer upgrade for Smooth Operator V1 owners. For only $29, you get this glorious beast. Use my affiliate link on screen or below to get the deal. Secondly, for a limited time, if you don't own Smooth Operator, you can get it at the introductory price of $79, so grab that from my link before the price goes back up by $50. I really think it's worth it, especially to existing owners. The only reservation I have is that it doesn't have automatic gain compensation, but I hope to see that soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I love hearing from you. And consider becoming a member or joining my Patreon, and use my affiliate links to support the channel. Until next time, mix well. This is a new edition of Plug and Play, where I take a quick and dirty look at a new plugin. This week, it's WA Production's new Detroubler plugin, which takes a different approach to controlling unwanted frequencies in your mix. Is this another super affordable Soothe 2 alternative? Let's take a look. But first, please like, subscribe, and share, and consider becoming a member of the channel in the links below. And use my Plugin Boutique affiliate link on screen or in the description to grab this and other crazy deals. There really isn't much to learn about Detroubler. This plugin is easy and ready to use. It does have an interesting scientific rationale and design behind it though. WA Production used the principle of the Fletcher-Munson curves, which describe the human ear's sensitivity to frequencies and how that loudness is perceived, and combined that with another psychoacoustic concept called the Bark scale. This defines important frequency bands based on auditory perception, helping us understand how masking and aural discomfort occur. But you don't really need to know all that. Here's a simple example. I'll have a very busy mix here where the bass tends to jump out on the lower notes in the second measure, and there is some masking going on. Right here. The bass takes over. A quick start with Detroubler is to hit the listen button. And we're going to turn up the dial until we hear some processing. You hear that sub bass coming in? Those are the plosive bass notes I was talking about. Now let's turn off listen. I think those bass notes are much more controlled. This is a big improvement. And it doesn't radically affect the overall mix. I'm just going to crank the effect all the way up and see what else it does. It's quite subtle, but I feel like it's clearing up some of the upper highs. The guitars and drums seem a little clearer, but it's nowhere near as intense as Soothe 2 or Waves Equator. Now, Detroubler includes AGC, or auto gain compensation, like most of these WA Production plugins. You can engage this to compensate for any changes in the overall gain that processing applies, which is usually a little quieter as the plugin is subtracting EQ. But I think I found a little bug with the AGC. AGC is great in concept. I almost always want that in a plugin like this, but I notice that the gain tends to overcompensate and the average loudness audibly shifts. Check this out. Listen to the second measure where the bass is being corrected. The whole gain of the mix slowly raises. And then it goes down again. There, raised again. You hear that? Now, the good news is, this doesn't occur at all with AGC off. Let's listen. It's totally fine. And really, there's barely any difference between the attenuated signal and the dry signal. The bass just becomes a little more boomy. And if I use a plugin like Gain Match to compensate for the gain difference, there's only like 1 or 2 dB difference between the attenuated signal and the regular signal. It's not a huge volume difference. This bypass. Yeah, it's really helping with boominess in this mix. Let's try this on a nasty old mix. Okay, so this crappy old mix is really lighting up all the problem areas. Look at that, it's like a Christmas tree. Let's activate it. Man, this is pretty subtle. This mix is pretty thin sounding, so say that I don't want to affect the low end. I can just click the circles here. And now it's only affecting the muddy and up range. Again, it's still pretty subtle, but it sounds a little less harsh. I'd say it sounds a little more organized in the highs, one might say. So I really like what Detroubler did for the obnoxious bass in my first mix, but I think it's ultimately more of a first instance in your mastering chain type plugin. If you use this first in your chain, it'll clean up and reduce harshness in the most sensitive areas. Then you can apply your EQ, spectral correction, compression, and limiters after, and it'll translate better across devices. I think that's how I'll be using this in the future. Right now, this plugin is very cheap at just $12 introductory price, so feel free to grab it from my Plugin Boutique affiliate link, or grab another great deal while you're there, and support the channel. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment below, and consider becoming a member or sending a super like, and use my affiliate links to support the channel. Until next time, mix well. Hey look, it's another Soothe 2 alternative with a circle in the middle. High-end developer Zynaptiq enters the fray with an easy-to-use dynamic EQ plugin called Balance. Balance promises to help shape your sound towards a desired EQ curve. But how does it sound? Let's break it down. But first, please like, subscribe, and share, and consider becoming a member of the channel in the links below. And use my Plugin Boutique affiliate link on screen or in the description to grab this and other crazy deals. Right off the bat, I'll say it's not fair to call Balance simply a Soothe 2 alternative. It's got more in common with dynamic EQs like Sonable Smart EQ and Gulfos, where a bank of EQ filters are dynamically plotted constantly to match your signal to a reference target. But it is similar to Soothe 2 and Waves Equator in that it uses white and pink noise as ideal references to balance your signal. The interface also reminds me of Waves Equator, where you can see the target spectral EQ curve and what it's doing to the audio. The ethos behind Balance is for quick processing. Is your mix a little thin? Use the target slope of 3 dB or higher to add rich low end. Want a brighter sound? Set it to below 3 dB or closer to white noise for a flatter sound. Here's an idea I was working on. I don't know about you, but I find when I'm composing something, that rough mix almost always sounds really muddy and dark. But say I wanted to use this music right now in a TV project, and it's got to go out now. This is where Balance really excels. Just insert it. And just at the default setting, it already sounds way more radio ready. There's a lot more high and mid-range information, and the bass sounds richer and heavier. I could send it out like this and not be too stressed about it. But I did want a little flatter sound, so I can do that by lowering the target slope towards flat. And adjust the overall EQ mount until it brightens up without losing the low end. If I bring the EQ mount all the way to the 0 at the bottom, there is no processing. And then I can raise it until it sounds right. This is so much better. Notice how the synth bass is not so plosive anymore. And everything is sitting well in the mix. I mean, this isn't even a proper mix, but this gets me there in record time. And I can go way beyond this. If I want a really dark bassy mix, I can just increase the slope and or the EQ mount. And I can further tailor the slope with the target weighting, which basically increases the low and high end response. Yeah, that's pretty intense. It gets interesting when I invert this, and now I have an EQ target as pushing the mix to be darker, but the weighting is boosting the mid-range, leading to a clearer mix. And I can further tailor the high and low end with the target bass and target air controls. So by doing this, I'm now boosting the low end. So now I've got tons more mid-range, tons more bass, but a clearer and more exciting sounding mix. And moving this horizontally changes the frequency range. So now I'm extending way up to 450 Hertz, if I want. I'll just even keep this on the low end, on the subs. And add more high end here. You can really experiment with this plugin to get unexpected results in your mix. It's one of those plugins where you might find yourself realizing just how much mid-range you are missing. I love plugins like that. And for those of you, like myself, who like to know what's actually happening to your mix with this plugin. Balance offers a full view where you get a better visual overview of what's happened to your signal. We can click the Full tab. And here we can see the target EQ curve in this neon pink. And the yellow line is showing the actual EQ changes being applied. And we can see this is actually moving a little bit over time. And here we see a lot of gain is in the mids and highs, with a nice little dip in the low mids and a boost in the low, which is exactly what this rough mix needs. And in this full view, we can really see what the target weighting does to the curve. If I pull it up and make it more smiley, we get a massive boost in the lows and highs. And when I pull it down, the mids come back up to about 12 dB. And this is really good for adding clarity back into the signal. This is probably simply a consequence of better equalization, but I swear the whole stereo image sounds wider and richer when balance is on. That's a nice side effect. Another featured note here is spectrum tracking. This changes how the EQ plotting behaves. The default is set to track, where the EQ is periodically averaged and is suitable for most material. If you hear big EQ changes, then you might want to try the other settings. Hold is useful if you love what you hear and the signal is relatively similar overall. This will lock in your EQ response, so we can see it's not moving anymore. Infinite is like track, but keeps adding EQ data continuously instead of in periodic snapshots to get averaged. Suitable for signals that may not change a lot on average, but might have some strong short-term changes. Personally, I found track to be fine for everything I tested, but experiment to taste. And you can use balance to revive and even out instruments as well. In this song, the bass sounds a little weak, and I want more of a smooth, sustained low end on this that will anchor the song and sound more professional. I'll add balance. I'll raise the target slope to push it towards red noise and a darker sound. That's already better. I'm going to push it more with the target weighting to give it that scoop sound. Yeah, this sounds warmer, thicker, and less choppy. I think the dynamic EQs are actually leveling off the signal. I can see my peak meters look more even when balance is on. I really like this for managing bass. I think it's one of its strengths. Now I know it's in the title, but I don't think Soothe 2 is a good comparison here for balance. Sure, I could insert Soothe 2 and clean up the mids and lows a bit. but I can't really enhance the highs or lows with Soothe 2. Balance actually reminds me more of Oak Sound's Bloom, which is more like a dynamically plotted EQ, and it tends to sweeten the signal overall in a pleasing way. If I adjust balance to have that smiley EQ curve, then it tends to sound like Bloom, but without Bloom's upward-downwards compression. And what about that other plugin that visually reminds me of Balance? Waves Equator. So I can lower the threshold. And then adjust the EQ so it's working hard on the mids. And add a strong high shelf so it's ignoring the highs. And set the noise profile shape to warm. Now I should have something that sounds similar to what Balance is doing. Yeah, Equator's working really hard on the mids. It's interesting. I do find Balance is extremely transparent, even at high settings. I couldn't really get it to produce processing artifacts, which you might start hearing at high settings with Equator, although Equator is pretty damn transparent too. Another similar plugin might be Gullfoss, which tends to greatly enhance the highs and lows via dynamically plotted EQ. They actually sound pretty similar. So where does Zynaptiq Balance stack up in the EQ correction department? Well, I really enjoyed it, and I will miss it when my demo runs out. But at $149, can I recommend it? Yes, if you've got the budget and you like how it works. For those of you who already have Waves Equator, Bloom, Smart EQ, or Gullfoss, Balance may not be necessary. Now, it was introduced with a sale price of $69, which puts it in the same price league as TBT SpecCraft. But sadly, I got this review out a little bit late. Hopefully the sale will still come around. Keep an eye on that. In the meantime, I'll provide a link and go check Balance out. I think it's worth your time for mixers looking for a quick balancing solution, or even mastering engineers who want a solid, dynamically plotted EQ correction tool. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment below. And consider becoming a member or sending a super like. And use my affiliate links to support the channel. Until next time, mix well. Today I'm doing a quick and dirty plug-and-play review of the brand new BX Refinement update. Is it better than the old version? And how does it compare to Soothe 2 and others? Watch to find out. But first, please like, subscribe, and share, and watch to the end. It really helps the channel. And use my plugin boutique affiliate links on screen or in the description to grab this and other crazy deals. Longtime viewers will probably know that I'm a big fan of the original BX Refinement. You can check out my review here. It was one of the very first harshness correctors out there, so I was excited to see this new version in my inbox this morning. But is it a big enough update to upgrade? Let's check it out. BX Refinement is a very simple plugin. Basically, it's a fixed notch filter around 3.1K that will cut harshness from your mix or tracks. It's easy and often quite effective, although unlike D-Res, you can't change the center frequency at all. I was kind of expecting them to change that over 10 years, but if it ain't broke, then that's cool. And they've added some welcome new features. The most obvious change is the GUI, and I think this is a massive improvement over the original. The first one is charmingly 2000s with its skeuomorphic dial and hot tubes under glass, but the new interface is larger and lays things out more logically, plus accommodating the new features. And just like the old version, the only thing you really need to know about BX Refinement is the damping dial. Increase this and you'll hear a difference in your source. Let's listen. Right away, I can hear the bite on those guitars lessen, and the mix sounds cleaner and less harsh. You can see how this could be a quick, helpful fix for mixing and mastering. Now at this point, both the old version and the new version are identical. We can hear that if I solo between the two with the same settings. Not a big difference. And we can even see it in an analyzer. And both plugins offer a soft and hard setting. And you can make the signal dynamic by switching on dynamics. Essentially making this a dynamic EQ. You can use range and speed to control how much processing is happening. Where BX Refinement V3 pulls away is that it also has a third, wide setting, giving you a broader EQ curve to work with. I really like this option. You can get an even smoother, scooped sound, and I find you can get big results with lower processing. They both have presence knobs, and this can be useful for adding in high detail if you find you're losing it with high damping settings. And I like to mix some of the original signal back in if I'm using strong settings, and you can do that with the mix knob. And a big difference here with BX Refinement V3 is that you can also assign dynamics and/or LFO processing to either damping or presence. So I can add presence to the top end dynamically, making it more subtle and natural. And note, you can use negative values on presence to decrease harshness in the highs, either statically or dynamically. You can also control the overall strength of the dynamic setting. An interesting change is that you can now drive the dynamics via sidechain input. Are you looking for a fast, convenient way to check your mixes in any listening environment? Modified Mix Checker Ultra is here for you. I'll put it through its paces and see if it's worth the price. This is Mix Checker Ultra, a major I'm not totally sure if and when I'd use this, but I will experiment with perhaps cleaning up two clashing guitars, especially if one is harsh, or it might be useful to help voiceovers stick out from harsh material. There's also an LFO feature which will oscillate the processing. Personally, I've never been crazy about the LFO feature on this plugin. I just don't get the philosophy of having an oscillating effect on a mastering tool like this. But if you do like it, they've expanded the features so you can apply modulation to both damping and presence, and mix and match between those. Plus, you can sync the tempo. A nice feature here is that you can solo the processing of not just the dampening now, but also the presence. Plus, you can solo the mid and side channels. Always a welcome addition. The only minus I'll say is that I'm not crazy about fiddling with the drop-down menu every time I want to audition processing. My instinct is to select a band and press this solo button. But it's a minor quibble. Both the old and new BX Refinement come with saturation, which I never personally use, but it's there if you want it. It appears to be the same basic odd-order harmonics and is identical across both versions. Some other nice features here are Mono Maker, which allows you to make the signal mono below any frequency, all the way up to 22K, so you can completely mono a signal. And conversely, you can add stereo width, which can be nice when you want to add a little more width to a mix without busting out another plugin. And lastly, you have the aforementioned master mix dial, which is great for letting the natural tone back in. It's always worth experimenting with the mix level so you can preserve the characteristics of your source material. And they've added separate mid and side processing to a new version, so that's great for applying the effect only to the mono or stereo material. Now let's load up the much more complex and expensive Soothe 2 and see how Refinement holds up. I'll increase the sensitivity around 3.1K to match it with BX Refinement. You know, with a little tweaking, these two can sound pretty close. And with BX Refinement, you're not introducing any FFT bands, latency, or crossover issues, all of which can occur with spectral processing. Not that I'm saying Soothe 2 is suffering from that, and you will always hear bad results pushing any of these plugins too hard. A little goes a long way with these effects. But for the case of lowering harshness in the 3K area, BX Refinement's very effective. So I'd say for quick harshness attenuation, BX Refinement is definitely worth checking out if you don't already own it. The new interface is a big improvement, and it does offer some unique opportunities to experiment with solutions for cleaning up content. But here's the thing. As of this video, it's listed at $49, but you can get D-Res for as little as $9 or $29 normally, which is basically the same thing as BX Refinement. It's kind of a fixed notch filter, but you can change the target frequency anywhere between 1 and 8K. Or you can get the amazing Waves Curves Equator for a measly $39, $10 less, which offers the same full range of spectral correction features as Soothe 2, and even includes a zero latency version. I don't think BX Refinement can even compete unless it's in the $9 region. So, while I'll always have a soft spot for this plugin, I think this will be a pass for most people. There's just simply more powerful and cheaper plugins out there. But please check it out for yourself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I love hearing from you. And use my affiliate links to support the channel. Until next time, mix well. Techivation have released version 2 of their excellent M-Clarity plugin. Could this be the easiest way to correct muddy mixes? Watch to find out. But first, please like, subscribe, and share, and watch to the end. It really helps the channel. And use my affiliate link on screen to purchase M-Clarity 2. And let me know in the comments below what you think. So I'm trying something new. This is my first sponsored video. And that sponsor is Techivation themselves, the creators of M-Clarity 2. But rest assured, I told them what I'm telling you right now. I'll be fair and honest in this review, as always. I'll never recommend a plugin that I don't love. Plus, I previously reviewed and loved M-Clarity version 1. Watch that in the link above or below. So I was probably going to review this anyway, but I'll be clear about anything I don't like or that I think can be improved. And I'll compare it to other popular resonance suppressors, as always. Let's hear what M-Clarity 2 can do on some mixes. For example, here's a mix that I spent a long time on, and I thought it was close. But the next day it sounded quite a bit muddy. You know how that goes. Let's see what M-Clarity can do. Okay, so for me, the vocal really jumps out to the front, and all the clashing between the pads and the lower mid instruments cleared up, and I can hear the high guitar parts now. Here are some other examples. That's so much clearer. And I did this with a single click and a couple of turns. I'll show you how. Here's all you have to do to get M-Clarity 2 working on your mix. Just hit the Mix Assistant button, and M-Clarity will run its neural network, learn your mix, and suggest the optimal settings to fix your mix. So this already sounds a bit better. But I find the Mix Assistant is usually a little too conservative. Here's where you can use the other settings to get more of the good stuff on your mix. We can go ahead and use the big suppression dial to increase the overall processing. I like it pretty high. Let's A-B. I like that a lot. Sounds way better. The boxy low mids are nice and cleaned up. I might as well end the video here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. But seriously, folks, there's a lot more to look at here. Another way we can change the processing is via the intensity dial. At lower settings, it makes M-Clarity look for only finer spectral peaks, for less broad processing. At higher settings, it's affecting a much wider range of the spectrum, and will result in larger tonal changes. This is similar to sharpness in Soothe 2. Listen to the difference. You get a smoother sound at higher settings, so I like to raise this higher for most tasks. Next is focus, which basically adjusts how picky the plugin is about resonances. Lower settings will have a broader effect, whereas higher settings are only looking for the strongest, most pronounced resonances. So at higher settings you don't hear it that much. At lower settings we hear more processing. Another great addition in the new version is that the slider over on the right here shows you exactly what frequencies are being affected and how wide or thin the processing is. So here's my formula for how to get the most out of M-Clarity 2. Load it up on your muddy track, run Mix Assistant, increase the overall suppression between 85 and 90%. Increase the intensity to about 75 to 80%. And lower the focus to around between 30 to 20%. And this really helps to smooth out and brighten up your tracks. I could go a little harder on this. Of course, always use your ears and adjust accordingly. I find this is what works for my mixes, specifically muddy ones. So there are some other cool features here. Say if you find the processing to be too intense, but you like the overall suppression, you can switch from hard to soft processing. In the new V2 version, soft processing has been further optimized to be even more transparent, which I have to say is surprising given how clean this plugin already sounded. Honestly, I haven't heard much in the way of spectral artifacts with M-Clarity that you hear in other kinds of plugins like this. But I digress. Let's compare soft mode. So yeah, I hear a little more of the low mid staying in with the soft mode on. But generally, I find the hard mode to be the most effective. Again, it's very clean. But this is nice to have. Another great feature is being able to limit where M-Clarity 2 is processing. This mix has mostly a low-mid mud problem, so it's a crucial feature to not run any spectral processing on the good parts of the song. And frequency limit allows us to do just that. You can manually slide the cutoff points, or enter exact numerical data. Or even slide the restricted area around. Not sure if I ever need to do this, but it could come in handy to test different frequency bands. I just realized there's no way to undo or redo the changes I just made. Ah, okay. Undo Redo is hidden in the hamburger menu up top. I'm not crazy about this. We have a lot of room up here for a couple of undo-redo arrows. Why make me dig into a menu? I hate unnecessary clicks, but I'm glad undo-redo is on this. That's important. Before I forget, when you start making big manual adjustments and you find there's a level difference when you bypass, you can hit auto over here, and this will correct for the level difference in processing. That's something that I really missed in my review of SpecCraft and should be mandatory in all spectral correction plugins. Something else I found different about M-Clarity 2 is its attack and release settings. While most resonance suppressors favor generally fast attack and release, I noticed that Mix Assist often favors 0 for all these settings. And when I looked at the manual, sure enough, Techivation claimed that you can confidently set attack and release to 0 milliseconds, knowing that there is no distortion, and this will give you the most precise resonance suppression. So, I often leave attack and release untouched, but they're worth tweaking if you want more of the original transients to come through, or you want the effect to take a longer time to roll off. Again, I found M-Clarity 2 shockingly clean, even at 0 attack settings. Yeah, that's wild. This is almost full processing. And rounding out the features is, of course, stereo processing. You can run in stereo or mid-side mode, great for controlling complex stereo material, or you can manually shift the processing between left and right. So you may ask, what don't I like about M-Clarity 2? Well, first off, I'm not wild about how all Techivation plugins look the same. And one thing I missed in M-Clarity that I have in other plugins is the ability to really increase processing in specific areas. M-Clarity is incredible at quickly adding clarity and depth to muddy mixes, but I didn't find it as effective on bright material. I had a lot of control over how it affected low to mid-range frequencies, but if the mix was too bright, there wasn't much I could do about that. Whereas in Soothe 2, Waves Equator, or SpecCraft, I can add an EQ node or a shelf and adjust the response curve, but you simply can't do that here. I'd say M-Clarity 2 is best suited for muddy or darker mixes, which is a common problem. In a crowded market, M-Clarity 2 stands out by providing a quick, simple, automatic, and transparent solution for resonance suppression. If you follow my steps and tweak the AI Mix Assistant settings, this will give you great results when you're struggling with cloudy, dull mixes or instruments. It's really like 30 seconds to a better mix or master. M-Clarity 2 will be the first thing I reach for when I have a dark, muddy, or boxy sounding mix. By effectively reducing the mud, M-Clarity leaves you with a brighter, wider sounding mix with minimal effort. For those who want more complex, granular control over every single detail of spectral correction, you'll probably want to keep one of the other big boys handy. But M-Clarity 2 is a strong recommend for me for musicians who don't want to waste time tweaking spectral plugins, or for experts who want a quick solution for boxy mixes. It's very effective. So go check M-Clarity 2 out and use my affiliate link in the QR code or in the description below to get it for the introductory price of only $45 for a limited time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I love hearing from you. Consider joining the channel and use my affiliate links to support my channel. Until next time, mix well. Just when we thought the Soothe 2 alternative race was over, TB Tech goes and releases its own hyper-featured resonance suppressor, spectral compressor, and smart EQ. Does it beat out Waves Curves Equator and Soothe 2? Watch to find out. But first, I'm trying to grow this channel and make it my career, so please subscribe, like, and share, and consider joining my Patreon or YouTube membership to enjoy perks and support the channel's growth. I truly appreciate it. Thanks to everyone for making my Waves Equator video such a success. It's still pulling in great numbers, and you guys left so many great comments, including many about this new SpecCraft plugin, asking me to review it, so I had to check it out. SpecCraft is available right now from the 3Body Tech website for a sale price of $69. Now, according to the YouTube post, it's up to 50% off, so I presume the actual price will be somewhere around $120. So keep in mind that Waves Equator is only $79 full price, and as little as $39 as of the making of this video. But does SpecCraft offer more? They certainly promise a lot. Let's find out. So once again, we have a plugin with a center threshold line that determines where processing begins. Basically, pull this line down, and any peaks above the line are treated as resonances. And we'll see some reduction occur. Let's bypass. They have their own internal bypass button, which I like, but it seems to cause more of a glitch than Wavelab's internal bypass. I'm not crazy about that, but that's a minor concern. I'm not hearing any auto gain applied to the output. And after searching the manual, I can verify that automatic gain compensation does not exist. That's disappointing. Fiddling with gain compensation on a plugin like this gets frustrating after a while, and I'm straining to think of another major competitor that doesn't have auto gain compensation. Perhaps they'll add it in the future. But I digress. How does it sound? So this is pure broadband spectral correction, and it's picking out quite a lot of imbalances in this old mix, which is fair. It's not a very good mix. Once I compensate the gain, we can hear that the mix sounds pretty smooth overall. I'm not hearing too many artifacts, even at high settings. Let's compare it to Waves Equator. Okay, to my ears, at default broadband settings, SpecCraft is taking off a lot more highs than Equator. This is not a good or a bad thing, just different. We can easily use Equator's EQ, tilt, or shape features to increase high processing. In this case, I like that SpecCraft is taking off highs, as this is a harsh mix. So we can further tailor the response from here. The quickest, most familiar way is with EQ nodes. Just double-click to add a node. In SpecCraft, raising the EQ node increases processing, and lowering it decreases processing. This is the same as Soothe 2. And the opposite of Equator. And note, if you hover near the edges, you'll get a tooltip telling you that a shelf or a cut filter will be created by default. But otherwise, you'll be creating a peak filter. This has become somewhat of a norm across the industry ever since FabFilter Pro Q, and I'd love to see this design pattern going forward. Note, you also have undo redo in the upper left, plus 2 A/B settings, and you can copy from A to B. So say we want to process only the high end. I can add a cut filter here, and drag it up to the mid-range. And I've got mostly processing on the highs. And I can increase this high processing by turning up the slope here. And that brings us to some of SpecCraft's more distinctive features. The slope knob shifts the processing in favor of the low or the high end. Very much like tilt in Waves Equator. It's basically telling the EQ processing curve to cut more for every doubling of the frequency. For example, 80 Hz gets cut another 4.5 dB than 40 Hz. This is a pretty standard, mild EQ slope. But if I raise the slope, watch the high end. And conversely, the low end. So this is an easy way to focus processing where you need it. Just think of slope as brighter or darker. I found I generally left it at the 4.5 curve and mostly used EQ nodes to shape the curve. But that's how I'm used to working now. The ratio is pretty straightforward. This is similar to any compressor ratio, where increasing this will increase the gain reduction for anything that crosses the threshold. TV Tech recommends keeping this below 50% for more natural sounds, and I found I didn't have to change this much from the default 35%. This could be useful for harsher resonances and things like vocals though. Now here's where things get interesting, the adaptive threshold. Using this, you can make the threshold change dynamically according to the input signal strength. So if you have something with less even resonances, this is definitely something to try. This puts it in line with something like Sonable's Smart EQ, where you can change the EQ curve to adaptive for more dynamic processing. This is very cool because now you have dynamic FFT resonance suppression plus dynamic threshold plotting. Very powerful, but watch out for overprocessing, there's a lot going on here. Rounding out the upper left controls here, we have knee and Q, which do what they say. The knee will change how hard or soft SpecCraft reacts to the signal. And Q acts like sharpness in Soothe 2 and precision in Equator. It makes the FFT bands narrower or wider. Good for hunting down specific frequency issues, or for more broadband full mixes, respectively. Here's where SpecCraft adds some truly unique features. First, there's dynamics. And I was like, dynamics? Don't we already have dynamic resonance suppression and thresholds? but this actually refers to controlling or preserving the dynamics of your signal. So if you have a large peak, which may be a resonance, SpecCraft will process that and will try to even out the peak, lowering it in amplitude. So we can see it here, it's evening things out quite nicely. Now let's add some dynamics. With the dynamics, the resonance still peaks out. And let's put it to 0. Nice and smooth. So you can see if you had more dynamic material with drums, it could preserve the natural sound of the peaks. I have a dry mix here so we can isolate untreated elements. Let's take this vocal. This was poorly recorded way back around 2001 in an untreated room with a cheap mic. Yeah, there's lots of room resonances and uneven frequencies on this one. Let's insert SpecCraft. Now you're casting shadows of light. Breathe a little more, just to be sure that I've got all the breathe a little. So it's definitely finding some troublesome resonances here, just by increasing the processing. This sounds a little smoother already. I'm breathing in relief. Still I ask the reasons why. And look to the end. And by looking at the spectrum analyzer, I can see there's a lot of peaking resonances around 400 Hz, so I'll add a node. Breathe a little more, just to be sure that I've got all the faith. Oh, it's more like 700 actually. So I'm breathing in relief. Still I ask the reasons why. I think that boxiness is improving in the vocal. You're casting shadows of light. Breathe a little more, just to be sure that I don't. I'll use the output gain to compensate. You're casting shadows. You can use the input and output meters here to match the loudness. I think that's a big improvement. The singer's vocals sound smooth overall, and it doesn't hurt my ears as much when he strains for the higher notes. It sounds like we upgraded the microphone and we've only made a few moves here. Now say I've gone too far and the vocal doesn't sound natural anymore. I can use the format feature to restore some of the character of the original signal. Let's listen. Don't look now. You're casting shadows of light. Breathe a little more, just to be sure that I've got all. Breathe a little. Basically, if making large, sharp cuts to the signal has changed its essential character, you can restore its timbre with the format knob. Breathe a little more, just to be sure that I've got all the faith I need. So I'm breathing in relief. Still I ask the reasons why. And look to the inside, but he said. So there, we can split the difference. You're casting shadows. Here's another example. I'll quickly apply some correction with SpecCraft. Ooh, I like how cutting all those mid-resonances is helping the strings layer with the vocals better. They're getting out of the way. But I think they might be losing some character, so I can add some format back in. Note, turning it up to 100% means SpecCraft is fully compensating for the cuts it's making. So this will give you kind of a hybrid balance between the two signals. SpecCraft even shows you what frequency compensation it's adding. "150% 150% will push it further into the unaffected signal's timbre. And I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but it's there if you need it. Yes, I like this. This is such a powerful way of balancing instruments both individually and collectively. This is very cool and something that SpecCraft can lay its own claim to. There's also treble compensation, which is very simple. If you feel like the signal has lost high end after processing, then turn it up. Not much more to add than that. There's some other cool features here like look ahead, oversampling, mixing in the dry signal, and mid-side processing. All of which is great, but I want to jump ahead to a more exciting feature: profiling. Not only do you have all these powerful features to fix and tune your tracks, SpecCraft also comes with threshold profiling, or capturing EQ curves from reference mixes and tracks that you can use to correct your own tracks and mixes. Let's try it on the bass, which is a bit tubby. Just turn on profiling over here in the lower left, and you can choose from presets. Let's choose clean bass. And just lower the threshold. Et voila! SpecCraft is digging out some mud in the low mids, exactly what I wanted. Little gain compensation. Yeah, that's nice. Very reassuring that you can take some mud out of the bass during the mix. I'll just load up SpecCraft after my reference track and turn on profiling. And then open Profiler below on the very bottom. Hit Capture and let it do its thing. You can stop capturing when the analyzer stops moving much. And presto! I've now got the curve of this Tears for Fears song, which I can just slap on this main bus, and essentially I've cheat coded my way to being a little closer to that professional mix. The mix definitely sounds smoother and closer to the reference track. And of course, if you hadn't guessed already, SpecCraft allows you to sidechain duck one track with another, allowing you to take full advantage of dynamic spectral processing to resolve clashes between instruments. And it's implemented pretty simply. Just choose your input source, in this case, a kick drum that I want to duck this bass line. I'm going to add my side chain, my kick drum that I want to duck the bass, so there's less conflict. And you activate external sidechain over here on this button. And now the kick is pushing down the bass, but only in the problem subfrequencies and only when it's playing. And we can change how quickly this happens too. You can use the ratio and the cue to further tighten up the response. And you have more control over the signal in the advanced parameters here. You can audition the input signal. You can independently adjust the input signal's gain, which is great if it's a little weak. You can control left and right linking, useful when ducking complex stereo material with lots of stuff happening in the left and right channels like mixes and vocal buses. You can switch between stereo and mid-side processing. And here with this power button is a really unexpected feature. They have an additional EQ just for the input sidechain. So you can further edit, exaggerate, or cut the frequencies you want to trigger the sidechain ducking. This is very powerful. It's hard to think of any sidechain input this comprehensive. I can see this coming in very handy during challenging music and post-production mixes. Oh, and lastly, you can totally reset all the parameters to default by clicking this option up here. SpecComp was released during a truly game-changing week for spectral correction plugins. In my last video, I named Waves Curves Equator as the one to get. And I'll tell you right now, with the price difference between these two, I still stand by that. SpecCraft is stunningly good and would have been my pick for the best Soothe 2 alternative. But Equator and SpecCraft are so close in terms of features that I still have to call it for Equator, especially at the sale price of $39. SpecCraft will always be twice the price as Waves. But I want to be clear, SpecCraft is a phenomenal plugin, and it offers unique features that Equator and Soothe do not have. The format feature alone feels almost revolutionary, allowing you to maintain control over your original tone at all times. Plus you have adaptive curves and all these granular controls over every aspect of processing. And if you are a control freak that needs to do really detailed sidechain processing, then this is the plugin for you. And it doesn't have to be complicated. In my experience, just insert SpecCraft, lower the threshold, and you'll hear improvements. So it's ideal for novices and beginners too. It's just a matter of which interface works better for you at this point, and the price. I love my Waves Equator, but I will be reaching for SpecCraft often in the future as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Consider joining the channel or my Patreon. I love hearing from you, and use my affiliate links to support the channel as well. Until next time, mix well. Okay, I'm doing something really different today. I'm diving into the ranking and tier thing that all you millennials love on the internet. So I have a tier list here. And in case you're wondering, from the top to bottom is A to D. So A is best, B is good, C is kind of lacking, and D is garbage. And then S is the super or super tier. And that's like the absolute GOAT, the best there is. And so I'm going to be dragging each of these icons onto here to show you where I rank all the spectral plugins, because there are so many spectral plugins now. This used to be like 5-7 years ago, there was Soothe 2, and that was it. And now it seems like one's coming out every month. And I already did a supercut. Ever since I did my supercut video, I think 6 Soothe 2 alternatives have come out since then. So anyways, so this is an basically unedited, loose video. It's like I'm streaming, but I'm not streaming. And I'll put this up on my Patreon and member channel first for the first day, and then I'll put it live on my channel. That's a little gift to those of you who are kind enough to sign up for membership. So anyways, so I'm just going to go through each plugin very quickly, and this covers all the plugins that I've covered. Some of these, my demo may have expired, or I never got a review license, so some things like Balance I can't bring up here, but go and check out my videos. I have a playlist where you can check out all this stuff, so look for that. So yeah, this is going to be proof positive of why I read from a script on every video. I'm not the world's greatest extemporaneous speaker. This is my first time for me trying this kind of thing, so bear with me. So yeah, let's start this off. I have a Cubase comp here, Cubase project, and I loaded all 28 plugins that I have available right now. I know I'm going to miss some. There are things like the one from... Sorry, there's a bug in my face. There's the one from Acoustica Audio, that I had the demo for, and that expired a long time ago, so I can't give that a shot. I'll just say right now, I was not crazy about it. I can't remember what it's called, but I like most of their stuff, I find it buggy and unsatisfactory, especially for the price. So, but anyways, let's kick it off, and we'll kick it off with the classic Soothe 2. So I'm just gonna play this harsh track that I have here and just quickly dial it in, and just give you my thoughts on the plugin. And Soothe 2 is the classic here for a reason. I mean, this interface is so clear and easy to use. Like, this is already going to sound better. I find though that Soothe 2 is, at least on the soft setting, it's quite subtle. Of course, you can make the processing more broad. And I find sometimes to compete with the more modern plugins that have more aggressive sound, you have to switch to hard. So that's much smoother. But I start to hear a bit more artifacts. So you got to strike that balance. You can go heavy and then mix in more of the original as well. It's getting those mid-range frequencies quite nicely. So Soothe 2, after all these years, where do we rank this? I am going to put it in Super for now, because it is kind of the top one. It's the thing we compare everything to. I'm going to put it in Super for now, but we'll see where it goes. And next we have Bloom from Oak Sound, their follow-up. And this is more of a dynamic equalizer than a spectral correction plugin, but it kind of works in a similar way, with an even easier interface. So basically it's already spectral correcting. Yeah, that already sounds way smoother. And we've barely done anything. And the neat thing about Bloom is that it goes into upwards and downwards compression once you get into the squash zone. And I find you can get really good results from this. You can even push this and then blend it in again. I really like what it does for the spectrum, even if you don't use the compression. I find myself actually using this a lot more than Soothe 2 these days, especially for quick fixes. So Bloom, for me, Bloom is one of my favorites. I'm going to put it in the super tier. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to also balance cost. So since these are so expensive, I'm actually going to move these to the top tier, to A. I'll put them there for now. Let's see how everything else stacks up. Next, we have Waves Equator. I'm just going to reset that. And all we got to do with Waves Equator is lower the threshold and you're already getting improvement. You can increase the sensitivity. Oh, and something I love about every plugin so far is that it has automatic gain compensation, which is, personally I think it's required for this kind of plugin. Fiddling back and forth between the output level and your threshold is just really annoying. Whoops. And there you go, and I love this plugin. You can mix, you can go into multi-band settings. You can change how much it's responding in each band. You can change the band limits. This plugin's incredible. I love this plugin. You can add your own EQ nodes. Like, there's so many ways to control this. Yeah, you know, for me, Waves Curves Equator is super tier. Right now, this is my favorite. And now let's go to the latest of the bunch. Smooth Operator Pro. Oh, where's my sound? Okay, what's going on here? Whoops. I try to get stuff ready before time, and look what happens. Okay, now it's working. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so Smooth Operator Pro. Again, this one, you can just move the threshold to get things going. But here's the first problem. Actually, I'd say about the only problem with Smooth Operator is that there is no automatic gain makeup. And the developers have said they're going to work on it for the next update, and I hope they do that. So we have to make up the gain manually. And they give you a little thing here. So the dark waveform in the front, you can match to the faded waveform in the back. That's your input-output levels. Some people have said they prefer meters, and that would make sense. But otherwise, it sounds great. And you have so many controls over how to process this. You have focus, mid-side, imaging, sidechain input, compression settings. It's a great plugin, especially if you get it for the introductory price or the upgrade price. But I would say for Smooth Operator Pro at its full price, like if there's no sale going on and you're not doing an upgrade from the original Smooth Operator, it's probably not a great deal. It's not as good a deal as Waves Equator. So I'd say grab it now while it's competitive. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it as much. So I think on my list, where is it here? There it is. Okay. So for right now, if I consider it at its full price, It's a good competitor to Soothe 2, but it doesn't have automatic gain compensation. So I'm going to put it on the B list. But again, like for $79 on sale or for $29 upgrade, it's practically a no-brainer. And I hope they put the automatic gain compensation in soon. And just for fun, let's revisit the original smooth operator. Again, with this one, you have to adjust the output gain. And these knobs, I don't know, I find these dials a little fiddly. And yeah, I still feel the same about Smooth Operator that I did back when I reviewed it. And that it's pretty good for taking care of a quick kind of mid-range problem, but it just tends to make everything sound bright and thin. And you just don't have enough control over the EQ nodes to really get what you want most of the time. And plus, no automatic gain compensation. Sounds kind of better, but once I had this, I never really reached for it anymore. But now they have Smooth Operator Pro, which actually looks like it's completely replaced Smooth Operator on the website. So Smooth Operator is gone. This is now this will become a classic plugin, I think. So, Smooth Operator, it was good to know you, but you're a fail. And speaking of fail, here's Rezo. Now, I negatively reviewed Rezo a while ago, quite a few years ago when it came out, and I just find the whole experience with Rezo to be generally kind of annoying and frustrating, because you gotta hit it, calculate your targets, wait for this. Oh boy, come on, you can do it, buddy. Okay, I don't even know what's going on here. Calculate targets. I don't know, is something wrong with the plugin? I'm gonna try this one more time. Okay. See, I don't know, I still think this plugin's pretty buggy. So it gives you suggestions for where it thinks resonances are occurring. And it's up to you to manually pull these down and allow processing to happen. Or you can group them and kind of awkwardly pull them all down. Make it a little more conservative. Yeah, it's not doing very much. And I mean, if I want to engage in the low end, I just have to do this manually. I don't know, and I don't think this sounds very good. Yeah, I find this interface kind of lame and annoying. It just makes me want to reach for Soothe 2 or Waves Equator. So Rezo, you go in the bottom. I'd say pass on that one. And next we have the venerable DSEQ3. This one's amazing. Again, all you need to do to get started is to lower the threshold. Yeah, this is taking a lot more off the low end. If I want some more processing, I can use this. I can use the EQs. That already sounds better. Now I know this has automatic gain compensation. That's the delta, solo, main gain. Okay, so yeah, that already sounds better. And you have so many settings here. Look at how many quality settings you have. Every single node has deep controls. You make your custom thresholds, references. It's got AI learning. This thing is a beast. And I think it sounds great. If you got the money, this is just about as good as it gets, I would say. This is every bit as good as Soothe 2 and even has some more features. I think it's a little cheaper than Soothe 2, so I'm going to put this in the super tier. But it might not be as easy to use for most people. You know, I think I'm going to put this in the great tier for now, in the A tier, because it's very deep and it can be a little confusing. And like I said, I know this has automatic gain compensation, but I can't find it right now. Sometimes the terminology is a little confusing. So yeah, you know what? I'll put this in the A tier. And now I added Smart EQ, which is generally meant more as a track EQ, but it has a universal setting, and this is more like a dynamically plotting EQ. To scan the material. Yeah, that already sounds better. This is very simple to use. And you can make the EQ plot itself dynamically. So now you have a constantly adjusting threshold. You can smooth it out. You can increase, you can invert it if you want. Get more mid-range in, why not? This is cool, and then you can choose from different references, and you can load your own references. And of course, Smart EQ has its amazing cross-channel processing, where you can add, I think, 5 or 6 instances of Smart EQ and just move them around, and they'll cross EQ with each other, which can make complex mixing very easy to use. So Smart EQ is a classic, and I still use this quite a lot these days. So I'm going to move Smart EQ into, I think this is Smart EQ. Yes. And put Smart EQ into the super list. I love this plugin so much. It's great. Next we got Gullfoss. Gullfoss, again, this is a dynamically plotted EQ, but I mean, if you read about it, I've talked to developers, it's got like, what's going on under the hood is just crazy, insane, kind of, you know, it's hard to explain, but I think a dynamically plotted EQ is the closest I can get to it. And this one tends to deliver more subtle results. So you use recover to recover frequencies that may be missing, and tame deals more with resonances. And you can control the brightness. This one's that's pretty straightforward. And the bias is more towards the low end or the high end. Yeah, it sounds nicer. Probably take the brighten down a bit. Yeah. You gotta be careful. Don't push it too far, or otherwise you start hearing artifacts. But overall, like in the kind of like 50% zone, you can get some very good results. So yeah, I'd say Gullfoss is good for subtle improvements on mastering. So I'm going to put Gullfoss. I'm going to say it's not crucial for everyone. If you're looking for a workhorse for an everyday workhorse for tracks and mastering, and you're not that interested in complex under the hood stuff, I'd stick with Waves Equator. But this is it's a fantastic plugin. I still use it for mastering quite a bit, but I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's great, but it's also expensive, and it's not for everybody. Wave Grove Vastos. So this came out 2 or 3 years ago, and I reviewed this quite a while ago, and I was not a fan. I mean, it's not really doing much of anything, really. The first setting makes it dampener, makes it darker. They both do. There's a bias here that controls, it changes the overall tone a bit. Is that the delta? Oh, oversampling for what it's worth. Guys, this plugin is garbage. I realize it's free. I hate to shit on small developers, but Wave Grove stinks. Goodbye. Alright, then there's BX Refinement. Shoot, I thought I bought this. Okay, well, go check out my review of BX Refinement V3. I've always enjoyed BX Refinement, even though I often suspect it's little more than a notch filter at 3.1K. But if you get it cheap, it's worth checking out. It's good for a quick fix, but I think D-Res might have it beat. Now here's an interesting one, Waves Factory Equalizer. Yeah, already that sounds pretty good. Sounds a little bright, so I can tilt this down towards the low end. Yeah, I love Waves Factory Equalizer. It's a great plugin. It kind of reminds me of Gulf Floss, because this is a dynamically plotted EQ, and if you crank it all the way, you can start to hear some artifacts where the plotting happens, but generally you don't want to be going this hard anyway. Yeah, I love Equalizer. It's a good price. It works solidly. It tends to brighten the signal, so definitely you want to keep an eye on that. And you can also draw in your own controls to show it where to process, to control its processing. God, speaking is difficult. Okay. Yeah, see how easy that was? I love Equalizer, so I think... how much does Equalizer cost? €99. Oh, okay. Okay, so at that price point, if you want this for like cleaning up your tracks, fixing harshness and resonances, it's not as feature rich as, say, Waves Equator or Smart EQ. So I love this plugin, but at full price, I'm going to say probably skip it. You want something more powerful like Smooth Operator Pro or Waves Factory or Waves Equator or Soothe 2 and Bloom. Alright, M-Clarity. So this one's fun because it's got a mix assistant. Yeah, it already sounds better. Yeah, I love this plugin. Like, it's very smooth. You can crank this all the way. And you don't really hear any dynamic artifacts. I don't know what's going on underneath the hood, but this is a really good plugin. The only thing, sometimes I wish I could push it further, but maybe that's a good thing that you can't. I love M-Clarity too, although I think it's 129 normally, so I gotta factor that in. Whereas M-Clarity. So I'd say M-Clarity is a fantastic, quick solution. Ooh, I like how it reminds you that you got an update too. That's cool. M-Clarity is so easy to use. It's got the mix assistant. So I'd say for those of you who are looking for very simple solutions, maybe you're not so technically inclined, that's definitely one to look at. I think it's best if you get it when it's on sale. At 129, that's a little not competitive. So I'm going to put this in the middle. Depends on how easy you want your resonance suppression to be, your harshness fixing. Now there's ozone clarity. So that's the interesting thing about this, is that it only does the mid-range to the high end. And you can kind of tilt it to be brighter or darker. It's pretty simple. Yeah, for some reason they split these two up. So your low end focus does the low end. Like, I like these plugins. They're okay, but they're a little too simple, I would say. So, I mean, they come with a whole bundle, but I'm going to put these in the ignore section here and see, like, if they're of use if you've got the ozone bundle, check them out. But I don't know if I like that they split them up into two plugins. Now you have to remember that you have two plugins just to do spectral correction. I'd rather just have one plugin that has multi-band sections. That's more what we have here. Well, let's see this. So this is spectral. This is spectral shaper from ozone. Spectral shaper. It's hard to say. Yeah, this one's more aggressive. Oh yeah, look at that. You got gain match, I love it. Okay, this is more like it, really. Got attack and release controls. And I can tilt the way it responds. Darker and brighter. You got 3 different levels of processing to choose from. It's cleaning up the signal nicely, and I can do full broadband or just focus it where I need it. Yeah, I like Spectral Shaper a lot. Okay, so this redeems, actually I think, was that Spectral Shaper? So I'm going to put this in the A tier. There's low end focus, I got the wrong one. So there you go. I'm going to put Ozone Spectral Shaper in the top. It's great. If you got Ozone, you've already got a good one. And speaking of Ozone, then we also got Stabilizer. So Stabilizer will give you different references so you can quickly get to where you want. And you can control the level on each band. It's pretty similar to Spectral Shaper. Yeah, it cleans it up nicely. Stabilizer is another good one. think I'll put that in the B tier. Just so I prefer the controls on the other plugins. All right, TBT SpecCraft. And this is a good one here. Again, all we have to do is just lower the threshold and we'll get processing. Only downside, no automatic gain compensation. But it does have a meter here. There's an output meter there so you can match the input level. And yeah, there's not enough time to go through all the controls here, but this pretty much has everything you want. Attack, release. You know, you can make the EQ more adaptive. It's got even format to control how much treble is happening. Oversampling, look ahead compression. There's so much you can do. This is a great one. This one's amazing. A little on the pricier side, but definitely one of the top competitors with Soothe 2. So where are we going to put this guy? Where'd you go? SpecCraft is where? Where'd I put you, SpecCraft? Oh. Huh. I already have SpecCraft in there. How did I do that? Well, that's in the right place. This is going in the A tier. The only reason I'm putting in the super tier is because I like Waves Equator a little bit better. But this one kicks ass. Zynaptiq BALANCE, I don't have a demo anymore, so I can't revisit that one. I love Balance. I thought it was amazing, but it is super expensive and doesn't have quite as detailed control as Wave Contrator or Soothe 2, but I'm going to put that in B just because it's very expensive. Although it's a nice, easy solution, it got great results. I want to put it in A, but I'm going to keep it in B just because it's out of reach for most of us. And then there's, moving on to WA Productions Detroubler. This one's really simple. You got your different kind of problem areas. And you just raise this until you see processing happen. That's it. Problem I have with Detroubler is that I often didn't hear anything at all. It's too subtle. Like, it's saying it's doing all this processing, but I don't hear much. So, Detroubler... yeah. I'm putting Detroubler in D. And next we have WA Productions' other plugin, D-Res. I reviewed this one as well. Go check out that review for more details. But this one's super easy. Just find your resonance and then apply. It's got automatic gain compensation and so many features. You can compensate for the lost area, you can make it dynamic, you can process on harmonic octaves. I find it's really easy to get results right away from this. D-Res is almost always on for $9. Use my link to get it from Plugin Boutique. It's super cheap, super easy. I think it's one of the greats. I'm putting it in the S tier just because it's so cheap, so simple. You're guaranteed to get results from it. Next we got Hornet Sleek. This is an interesting one. Okay, so I've had some issues with this plugin. Oh my god, what's happening? Yeah, I often hear weird artifacts. Oh my god, it's destroying my audio. Oh, Hornet Audio. I love that guy, but I can't do it. This is garbage. Goodbye. Then we have Hornet Balance EQ, if I can get the interface to load. Ah, there we go. So this EQ will automatically monitor the input and then suggest settings to balance the audio. Okay, that definitely gave me some results there. This is great, it's got automatic gain compensation. I think I can adjust this, can't I? Gain? Huh. Maybe not. So it definitely sounds smoother. Added a lot at low end. Let's try this again. Nope. Whoops. Okay. So I can lower the overall amount. Yeah, you know, that sounds smoother. I can make it brighter or darker. Overall, I like Balance EQ. And I just bought this for €4, I think, so like $7 Canadian. Yeah, this one's worth checking out. Again, sometimes the interface gives me a bug where it doesn't render. Yeah, there it is. This is okay. There, now it's back. This might be specific to me. I'm on macOS Ventura on Cubase 14, but I think it happened in Logic as well. But anyways, I do find the Hornet stuff's affordable and very innovative sometimes. But yeah, sometimes you get a bit of a bug. But this thing sounds good. I'm going to do a review on this. I actually quite enjoy this. So I'd say for value, this is shaping up really well. I'm going to put it in the B. I almost want to, I want to do like a B+, but let's put it in B there. This is promising. It's so cheap. It's practically free, so keep that in mind. Oh, I got another isotope here. Isotope Sculptor. Geez, I haven't used this in a long time. So yeah, this is mostly for individual tracks, but they have an all-purpose here. That's not bad. Oh, you can increase the width. Interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, this sounds pretty good. I can limit the processing if I don't want the high end so much. This is getting a little bright, so I can change the tone here. Yeah, that sounds good. I like this one. Where's Sculptor? Was that Sculptor? One of these is Sculptor. It's hard to tell. Maybe I should have labeled these a little better. But yeah, I'm going to put that in the good category. Well, this is an interesting one. The Smoother from Phil Spicer. This is really cheap. $14.99. So this is $14.99. So you can actually start from presets here. Let's try Super Smooth. This sounds pretty good. And you can change your multiband crossovers, so that's cool. And you can set different sensitivities for each section. So I don't want to affect the low end. Okay, it's not even on, but maybe I want some more high-end processing. Now I did find with this plugin, if you get over about 50-60%, it gets very artifacty sounding. Like you can actually hear those spectral crossovers grinding away. So something to be aware of. And you can solo each band. You can solo the processing. Sidechain input, you got mid-side process. So for $14.99 this is pretty cool. Definitely check it out. I'm going to put this in the mid-tier. It's cheap, it's affordable, but I personally find it produces artifacts a little more quickly than other plugins, so keep that in mind. And just to shake things up, I added Waves Silk Vocal. They actually put this out for free when it came out, I believe. That's why I have this. So let's check it out on a vocal.
Slivers of silver in my hands, just one more prayer for a dying man. Slivers of silver.
Oh, it's got its own compressor too. Oh, female, I want male.
Slivers of silver.
Okay, you can solo each band.
Just one more prayer for a dying man. Slivers of silver, and what do I see? Past the turrets.
And you can choose from female as well.
On my own, I'm no further ahead, no closer to home. Betrayed by my mother, too far from father.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I found this very gimmicky, and it sounded pretty artificial in a mix. So, Waves Silk Vocal, I'm gonna put it in the fail list. I'd just rather break out standard compression, multiband compression, de-essers, that kind of thing. Didn't really add what it promised. And here's one I haven't actually had a chance to review yet, although people have requested it. So this is Tokyo Dawn Arbiter. And this is basically a broadband or single band harshness suppressor, where we can lower this. So you have to choose your center frequency. I think I'll go to the 3K zone. Yeah, that sounds better. So yeah, this has a few features. This controls the width of the processing. You can choose from a bell, low shelf, high shelf, or a flat top, which is neat. And you can also switch the processing to a wideband. So it's like a compressor happening across the whole spectrum. It doesn't have auto gain compensation, but it has a target gain compensation. Yeah, I find the wideband processing sounds a little artificial. But I like how the single band processing sounds. What is this costing these days? €40. $63 Canadian. Okay. So that's not bad. I need to delve into this more. Right now, it sounds pretty good, but seems a little unremarkable compared to the others, so I'm going to put this in C for now. I love the company. I'm sure there's more to it than what I'm hearing, but I need to sit down with it a bit more. Then we have Vox & Go TOT. This one, Vox & Go interfaces can be very confusing, but this one's pretty straightforward. You use this one to increase the processing. I can't remember what that does. Again, I have to do a proper review on this. You increase the number of bands, slope towards high end or low end. You can cut the processing in the low or the high. I can't remember what room dip does, but you have different nose profiles. You have different noise profiles. Different high frequency timing. I quite like fluid. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. And what does this cost? There's the price. €63. About 100 Canadian dollars. So like $5 in the US. Yeah, this is a good little plugin. Some of the terminology requires a bit of learning curve, but there are tons of optionings here. There are tons of options here, so definitely check this one out. At $100, it's getting into the upper tier, so I think I'm going to... I like this more than I did when I first used it. I found it completely mystifying. I'm going to put this in the good tier. It looks like, I thought I already put these guys in, but I'm going to put BX Refinement in the maybe zone. And of course, oh, where'd it go? Oh, and we want to put DSEQ in the top tier. So there you have it. So I'd say right now, my favorites... This is kind of surprising me, actually. I got Waves Equator, D-Res, and now that's all about value. Keep that in mind. And Smart EQ, which is just, you know, it's an incredible tool to have for mixing, especially if you're in a complex mix. But it's a lot. This is very close here. I mean, I love Bloom and I love Soothe 2. I still use them all the time. SpecCraft was incredible. I feel like I should have that in the top. I'm gonna move that to the top, because it is $69, I think, so it's still quite competitive. So I'm going to put that back in the top. So yeah, these are my top picks, and I love you DSEQ, but you're quite pricey and a little bit obtuse for your average user. So yeah, these are my rankings, and maybe this can help you to decide. If you want to pick up any of these plugins, head over to Plugin Boutique and use my affiliate links to support the channel. Appreciate you watching. I know I'm not the smoothest talker in a live scenario, but maybe I'll do more of these in the future, especially for the Patreon. Make sure you subscribe for Patreon on my membership. And yeah, use my affiliate links to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time, mix well.